welcome to the channel. How are you guys doing today? Leave it down below. Oh my goodness, this video has taken far too long to get out to you. I'm talking like years. I've had plenty of time, and I'm not gonna lie, I just drug my feet and didn't get around to it. And I was like, today is the day. I'm feeling it. I love a good dupe inspired by fragrance. I just feel like I have to put a disclaimer out there because some people get real upset about dupes inspired by clone houses. I have so much respect for the original fragrances, the noses behind them, but I love a good dupe, okay? These prices are getting out of hand for even designer. And the really high-end stuff, like they were just out of my price range the whole time. So I love that there are affordable options for those of us that love those OGs, that love the art behind it, the scent behind it, but can't afford it. I love that there is an option for it. I don't like when people make clones or inspired bys and they're real vague about who it's inspired by, they don't want to mention it, or they really mimic the bottle. I think that's too far. Have I probably bought some of those? Yes, because I do feel like a lot of Middle Eastern fragrance houses like do those dupe inspired by fragrances, but they don't always tell you what it's inspired by. You smell it and you're like, oh, I know where this was going. I do wish they would say like inspired by, because I do think you should play homage. I do think you should pay homage to who created them, because fragrance is an art. I do think you should let people know when it is inspired by. Okay, rant over. Let's talk about it. If you enjoy fragrance content, beauty content, a little bit of lifestyle content, go ahead and click the subscribe button. Join the fam, you won't regret it. And now let's go. I think I will group these by brands. These are true inspired by dupe houses. These are not things in my collection that remind me of something else, or that I feel like were inspired by something. And I mean that in the sense of, there's no doubt that Cloud was inspired by Baccarat, but I don't think it's a true clone or dupe. It's obvious that Oriana was inspired by Love Don't Be Shy, but it's not a clone or a dupe. I hope that makes sense. These are actual like dupe clone houses inspired by houses who market themselves as smelling like the original thing. So starting off, I'm going to go in with my dossiers. I will tell you, I think since I purchased mine, they have switched up some of the names. So I will link them down below, because the names that I say here in this video may not be the exact same with what's featured on their website. I have 4 from Dossier. I have Floral Rhubarb, which is inspired by Marc Jacobs Perfect. So I'll just start with that. There it is. All right. I have most definitely smelled Marc Jacobs Perfect in store plenty of times. It is on my wish list because truthfully, I'm just obsessed with the packaging. So it is on my to buy list because, again, it's just the cutest packaging with the little bow and the banana and all the extraness about it. Obsessed. I personally would not pay full price for this with the designer prices now, but I would buy it on a discount site at a discounted rate, whether it's a tester bottle or just a, overstock bottle. I love it. It's very floral. It's a little tart, and tart a lot of times rubs me the wrong way, but this tart I can get down with. And I think it's because there's enough sweetness and enough floral that it really balances out the tartness that the rhubarb brings. It's a freshie. It's like almost shampoo-y in the think very fruity shampoo. Because I'm cheap, I do cut my tester strips in half. I really appreciate the mister on the Dossier. Like, it's a good mister. Ooh, so good. Honestly, so good. Wow, this is Floral Rhubarb, and it is so darn close to the original. This one I might almost like just a little bit better. I think this one in the very opening is a little even more fruity than the actual scent, but in the dry down, they are so close. Wow. Extremely close. Like if you walked by somebody, they're gonna have no idea if one person was wearing the actual Perfect and one was wearing the Dossier. What the Dossier version gives me just a little bit more of than the actual Perfect is Green Jolly Rancher. I love that. Honestly, I actually like this one a little bit better. Next up is Fruity Honey, which is Jo Malone's Nectarine Blossom and Honey. I had no idea about this one when I bought it, truthfully, and never smelt it. Jo Malone is not someone I'm really drawn to, but it was one of those deals where like you bought 4 and you got a discounted rate, so I was like, okay, what looks good here on the website? So I decided to give this one a try. We have Blackcurrant, Green Leaves, Honey, Nectarine, Peach, and Vetiver. A lot of people, again, I'm not super knowledgeable about the Jo Malone house, but a lot of people complain about how long they last. I think a lot of hers are EDTs. Don't quote me. Again, I'm no expert on Jo Malone. It really is a lovely fragrance. It really, really is. This again is one of those easy reach fragrances. You want to be likable. You want to be approachable. You want to be feminine. You want to smell good and fresh. It's warm outside. It's sunny. You don't want something that's going to be overpowering. This is a beautiful fragrance. It really is beautiful. Why don't I reach for it more? It's so good. That peach in there is so good. Peach is a note for me that when it's done right, I love it. But so often it's not done right. This is done so right. In the Jo Malone, the peach is so good. I can actually smell the flesh of the peach, the skin of the peach. It's a little fuzzy like an actual peach. Literally, I can smell it. It's ripe and just barely green. That honey is just making it like the inside of the peach is so ripe and juicy. Okay, Jo Malone knows what she's doing because that is good, good. Let's compare it to Fruity Honey. This is very good as well. This one to me definitely reaches more on that green leaves aspect than the actual Jo Malone. It's still really pretty, like the perfect springtime, sunny day, slight breeze. You're just having a good day. You're vibing, you're happy. Maybe you have the window down and good music on. Very good option. I do like the Jo Malone just a pinch more. For me, it is how realistic the peach is in the Jo Malone that just kind of blew me away since I never smelled the original. As this dries down, it gets better. The Dossier just kind of needs to tame down a little bit. A little bit of that honey needs to come out, so a little bit of the greenness can kind of just step back a bit, let that fruit come forward in the Dossier. But honestly, she's real likable. Jo Malone is so expensive, and hearing how many people complain about the lasting power, I'm like, oh, I don't think I would ever get a full bottle, even though I do think she's lovely. To me, if you're like a huge Jo Malone fan, it would be worth getting the real thing and having Dossier to be the extra topping to your fragrance application. Like you go in with your Jo Malone, you get your like 3 to 4 spritzes, then you go in with 3 to 4 more of these, and you're not like just running through the Jo Malone so quickly. I'm so ready for spring and smelling the perfect and the Jo Malone Nectarine Blossom and Honey. I'm just like, bring on the sun, bring on the spring. I am ready to roll the windows down. Next up is one that I love. I purchased one replica fragrance maybe 2 winters ago, and it was by the fireplace, which I'll talk about here in a little bit, but the lasting power was not good for me, and I have heard that about so many of the replicas because they are EDTs. But I'm obsessed with the bottle. They are so cute. They're so elegant, almost a little vintage. Like, love the bottle and love the inspirations behind the replica line, like how they really smell like an experience or a time or a place. So cool. So much respect for that. But they're expensive. I literally spent, I think, like $100, and it was like this big. And I was like, oh, okay, note to self, don't do that very often. I had to try out some dupes because, again, I do love what I'm getting from the replica line. I just wish they lasted better, and the price was just a little bit lower. This is the Dossier Aquatic Coconut, which is their version of Replica's Beach Walk. This is such a time, a place, and a scenery, and I love that about it. Look how cute this freaking sample is, though, you guys. Oh my gosh. Even their samples are elevated. Thank you for giving us an experience, even if we're just testing. It's a moment. Beach Walk is a moment. It is so beautiful, in my opinion. If you want summer but not full on sunscreen. I feel like so often coconut scents just go full sunscreen, which don't get me wrong, I love that sometimes. But there's something about the elegance behind Beach Walk. In the Dossier, which I will base the notes off, we have bergamot, pink pepper, lemon, aquatic accord, ylang ylang, heliotrope, coconut, musk, cedar, benzoin, tonka bean. What I get from the actual Beach Walk is definitely floral. I think it's that ylang ylang. I don't get a ton of powder in the heliotrope, but like I definitely get florals. And I do get a pepperiness. There is a spice in there. That aquatic accord is, to me, like there's just like a saltiness in here. It is truly like you are by the beach and how the salt is just like in the air and it's on your skin and the sun is shining and it is warming you. Maybe you're taking a little stroll by the beach behind a huge, beautiful, vintage, old, white mansion with the pillars, but the backyard is a beautiful garden that someone has just like manicured. It's perfect and it's overflowing with flowers. And the sun is shining and the salt air is just wafting your way. It's hitting your skin. Gosh, this is rich, rich people on the beach. Like it is elegant, it is elevated, it is not your typical sunscreen scent. Now let me spray the Dossier. Every time I go to Florida, I pack this. I mean, I've used this, okay? In my collection, I don't get a lot of big dents. I don't use a lot up. This one I have. This one, the citrus comes a little bit more forward than in the original. I definitely get more bergamot in the opening. It keeps it a little brighter, a little fresher. And then as it starts to kind of tame down, that's when those florals are coming forward. That salty sea air, the sunshine. In the dry down, these are extremely similar. One thing I often find with most dupe houses, clone houses, they're not usually as well blended. They're not usually as smooth, but that makes sense to me because like this was probably like $49 versus $100 or more on the replica. Like you hope you're getting a little smoother, a little richer blended product if you're getting the actual expensive original thing. But what just blows me away with things like Dossier is that on a budget you can smell so stinking similar. If you love Beach Walk and you want something to help you make it last longer to throw in your bag, again, Dossier is there for you. I'm obsessed with this. I'm just so ready for summer. Like these summery, springy things are just like making my heart go, oh, I'm ready. I also, another thing I will tell you, tip, if you're like me, I don't have a lot of great fragrance places to shop here. Our Ulta is always trashed. Like they're always out of testers. They don't get things in super quickly. Our Sephora is the same way. I also like getting the clone houses for wearing and living in a fragrance to find out if I like something in that genre before I buy the real thing. I personally prefer Good Girl, is it Liège? I'm not sure how to say it, but there's an almond note in there that I just think makes it creamy, dreamy, and delicious. But I get why Good Girl is popular. One, the bottle, the high heel, iconic. And this is one of those fragrances that on a woman, you're out trying to catch you a man. This is what men like women to smell like. I really enjoy the fragrance, but it's not one that I'm like so obsessed with that I'm like, yes, I need the full bottle. I gotta pay full price. Love it. Like it's not that for me. It's one that I reach for, definitely. Like, hello, I've used her. That's where this comes in so handy. Interesting. I was so off. Good Girl Légère doesn't even have almond. I thought it was almond. It's dulce de leche. I think that's what makes it different and creamier, and that would make sense. Maybe I do need that one. Anyways, back to this. Floriantal almond. Almond, peach, orris, orange blossom, tuberose, tonka bean, vanilla, and cocoa. For me, I really get those sexy, enveloping floral notes for sure that make it feminine, that make it enticing. I do get the peach, but it is not like the Jo Malone. There's just this like fruitiness that's kind of hanging out in the background. It's one of those things that makes it more feminine. You know, men like their edible scents. And then that cocoa in there just adds this kind of depth and richness, almost maybe a powderiness, like a powdered cocoa. This one is very, very similar, like very similar. I think if I'm picking hairs here, the only difference I get is maybe the cocoa is a little more forward in the original, but other than that, they are so stinking close. All right, now let's move on to the next group. I have my Julianas. I actually have 3 more in my collection, but I'm not real familiar with the actual scent, so I don't want to really like talk about them or hype them up when I don't really know the originals. Here I have Maison Francis Kurkdjian. I never know how to say it. MFK. Gentle Fluidity Gold. Okay, here's the real one. Like, this is a man, a nose that I have so much respect for that I wish I could afford his fragrances, but they are very out of my price range. Gentle Fluidity Gold is one of those fragrances that I feel like does not get enough attention. It's like this spicy vanilla that's also a little bit fresh. It is unisex. It truly is unisex, but I really feel comfortable wearing it. I get this wonderful spicy vanilla that is so beyond classy. It smells like you spent $300 on a bottle. I mean, it does. And I will tell you that for me, Juliana's did the dang thing. I will tell you though, I don't know, Juliana's has changed a lot since I've been purchasing with them. I think they're changing their bottle size, which I don't love. They aren't the cheapest dupe house. I think they range from like the $59 to the $79, which isn't super affordable, but I do feel like quality is there. But this one, if there's one from Juliana's that I could just jump up and down about, it is Liquid Gold. It is rich vanilla, and I feel like the longer I have it, the better it gets. And I've like used this one, like I love this fragrance. It is just a rich vanilla, but it's not a basic vanilla. It's not just like cake or ice cream. It is just like this very rich but gourmand vanilla with the most creamy spices that don't tickle your nose. It doesn't go BO. It makes it just rich and deep and luxe. This is one that, like, hands down, probably the best dupe in my collection. I get compliments when I wear this. MFK's Gentle Fluidity Gold. A masterpiece. Honestly, that man and this fragrance. The next one I have that I want to mention from Juliana's, and I don't have a sample of it, but I have smelled it many a times because if I had limitless funds, I would buy Bond No. 9 Tribeca. I love it. So I picked up the Juliana's Lower Manhattan, and it's pretty close. Pretty darn close. I think that Juliana's, as it's sat, has gotten better than when I first purchased it. I think I got this one at the very end of last year, so it's relatively new in my collection. A lot of people claim Tribeca is similar to Baccarat, and I get what they're saying in one way, but I also don't. To me, it's very different, but there is this airy sugariness that I could see where people are saying they're similar. There is hazelnut and cocoa and ambroxan and caramel in Tribeca, and that is what I get. Honestly, I get a lot of the caramel. I get this nuttiness in there that I love. I also get this kind of creamy cocoa, almost like you have a caramel sauce that you drizzle just like a little bit of chocolate syrup into, where it's way more caramel than it is cocoa. But the ambroxan in there makes it very fresh. This is kind of a unique fragrance in my opinion because it's gourmand, but it's also fresh because of that ambroxan. I don't think this fragrance is going to be for everybody, but I just find it so alluring. There's something about it that when I smell it, I can't stop smelling it. I think the original is a bit creamier, a little smoother, but as this one has sat, the Lower Manhattan has gotten a lot better as it sits. Honestly, because Bond No. 9 is just like outrageously expensive. It's like over $500 a bottle, and very few of us out there can afford that. This is a pretty darn good dupe. 2 people walk by it, I don't think you're gonna tell the difference. Oakcha, I've got 2 from Oakcha. I have Heaven Speak, which is Angel Share. I'll tell you, I find this to be very similar. I have smelled Angel Share quite a few times when I've stopped at Saks and Fifth Avenue. I think that the Oakcha's Heaven Speak is not as syrupy and rich as the OG. That's the big difference I find. But you very much get that boozy, caramel, apple pie, and spice. For sure, that is there. This one is a little lighter, so it comes off a little bit fresher to me than the original. It's lovely. But this to me is a very specific time of the year. I only reach for it really in the fall, Thanksgiving, because there's that apple spiced pie vibe going on. And that's exactly what I get with Kilian's Angel Share. And super cheap. You can get these on a discount, and I think it was like 30 bucks, maybe. And I actually think the bottles are really cute. If you have Camera, you probably don't need this. Camera is similar enough to Angel Share that it's like, you really don't need both. Yes, I have both, but you don't need both. This next one is so good. This is so good. I'm obsessed with this. This is their Sweet Addict, which, I mean, the spritzer on these things is pretty extreme. Like, you get it, in the eye. I like the fragrance, but not in my eyeball. This is supposed to smell like Kilian's Love Don't Be Shy, and does it ever? I'm not kidding. I don't have a sample, but again, every time I see a Saks of Fifth Avenue, there's a few fragrances I always go smell because I love them, and Love Don't Be Shy is one of those. If, again, limitless funds, I would probably pick up the real thing because it feels special to say I have a Kilian Love Don't Be Shy, and it's Rihanna's signature scent. Like, yes, we all fall into hypes and, I want to be a part of the cool crowd, but this smells exactly like it. Literally, there's no reason to even spend that much money when this smells exactly like it. It lasts like crazy. Like, I could put it on early day, end of the day, still smell it on my clothes big time. Love Don't Be Shy is floral, beautiful, fruity pebbles. That's what I smell, fruity pebbles. I get the powdered sugar, I get it all, but it's fruity pebbles. But there's something so absolutely mind-blowing, approachable, feminine, like, I'm woman, hear me roar, something about this. This has the it factor, you guys. Like, this smells exactly the same. This has everything to it, like everything. I can't recommend Sweet Addict enough if you love Love Don't Be Shy. The reason I got this one is because I was on the hunt for a good Love Don't Be Shy dupe, and I know Dossier makes one, but I'm gonna be real. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say theirs probably isn't as long lasting as the Oakcha. Oakchas are straight deep parfums, where I believe the Dossier is just a parfum. As well as, I wanted a dupe. I wanted that it wow factor that Love Don't Be Shy has. And to me, then you have to find one with the note of civet. I know, not for everybody. Not everybody likes those animalic notes. But I do think that is such an important part to Love Don't Be Shy, because it takes it from just being like a sweet, powdered sugar, fruity, playful scent to that, oh my goodness, sex bomb. This has the note of civet. Most of them cut that out, and I think it's because a lot of people don't like the note of civet and they want to sell their dupes, and that'll turn some people off. But I was like, no, give me Love Don't Be Shy. I want it all. I want the sweetness. I want the sex appeal. So I need the civet. And this is the one I found that had the note of civet. And I truly think that is what sets Love Don't Be Shy apart and takes it from, again, just being that flirty, fruity body spray to, I will tell you, I was at a grocery store and I walked by the floral department and there was an older woman behind me who was like, the flowers smell so good today. And I wanted to turn around and be like, no, it's me. But I didn't want to sound conceited. But I know she was picking up my trail because that Sweet Addict will leave a trail. Lost Cherry, the much talked about. I personally would never spend that kind of money on Tom Ford's. I'm a little bit of a Tom Ford hater. When I've smelled a bunch of his stuff at fragrance counters, I'm like, oh no, not for me, don't like it, and the price tag. But Lost Cherry, boozy, spicy cherry, like a hot cherry pie that has a boozy sugar syrup with a whole lot of cinnamon. One of the best cherries I've smelled, honestly. A lot of cherries are not done right in my opinion. They can go medicinal, or they're just kind of body spray like that, or artificial candy smell. This is a rich, delicious cherry, And it's boozy. You gotta like boozy. And a whole lot of spice, because it's real spicy. This is probably the third best one because, oh no, my bottle's leaking. I will tell you, the Alt bottles are probably my least favorite because I have had them leak. They had to send me a new bottle once because it was leaking when it arrived. The packaging is not great, but this one, their Cherry Smash number 12, is so close to Lost Cherry. It's like right there. It is so stinking close. Again, side by side comparison, I don't think anyone's gonna be able to tell the difference. I'm trying to pick them up to see if I can smell a difference. Honestly, I think the difference is that the Alt is stronger. The Tom Ford really dissipates after a couple minutes. This one is strong. And this is also a fragrance that is like a certain time for me because there's so much cinnamon spice in there. I've used this, and whenever I wear this, I get compliments. If you love something in this vein, Venom of Love by Novatus is cheaper than Lost Cherry. It is Lost Cherry with a creamy, chocolatey vibe in there. I love this. I would wholeheartedly, gladly buy another bottle because this is so good. And then the last one is also very good in my opinion. Fireside Marshmallow, which is a replica of Replicas by the Fireplace. It's so funny how our noses work. The first time I smelled that at Sephora, I was like, oh my gosh, who would want to smell like this? It's like you stuck your face in the fireplace. Then I left, and a couple months later went back and smelled it again, and all of a sudden I was like, I'm in love. I have to have that. And so I bought that little bottle, the smallest bottle they offer. For the price, it just did not perform on me, and I was like, this is very disappointing. So I started doing some research, as we do here in this community, and was hearing about the Alt Fireside Marshmallow. This is so stinking close. This is that rich vanilla, that sweet, rich vanilla with a whole lot of ashy, toasted, burntness, smokiness going on. It's not for everybody. And it's a time and a place for me. Again, it's one I really wear in fall. I can't really pick up other times. But there's just something about this that just makes me feel so happy and cozy, and like I'm sitting by the fireplace in the winter, or I'm at the campfire in fall. This is one that you can kind of layer with some other vanillas to give them a little extra something when the smokiness is too much, unlike the regular. Would hands down buy this one again, hands down. If you are looking for something that is similar to By the Fireplace without the face in the fireplace, try the Vanilla Era by Boy Smells. That vanilla reminds me a lot of the vanilla in By the Fireplace without the smokiness and a tinge more greenness. But if you are wanting something that smells so darn similar, performs, lasts, this is so close. This is like By the Fireplace with a more syrupy effect because this is the Extrait de Parfum versus an EDT. So it's stronger, it's more syrupy, but the scent is spot on. I can recommend them all to you, but my favorites by far are Juliana's Liquid Gold, MFK's Gentle Fluidity Gold, Sweet Addict by Oakcha, which is Love Don't Be Shy, Cherry Smash by Alt, which is Lost Cherry, and Alt's Fireside Marshmallow, which is Replicas by the Fireplace. Those are just so good to me and so close to the real thing that I get the fragrance experience, and I love them. But I love all of these, honestly. Like, I love wearing all of them. Okay, this video is probably like way too long. I'm gonna get to editing it and be like, what were you doing? I hope you enjoyed it. I'm sorry it took so long to get out. If you have dupes that you love and recommend, definitely leave them down below because you know your girl loves a good dupe house. Alright, I will see you in my next video. As always, please try to stay positive because at the end of the day, that is truly all we can try to do. Mwah. Bye-bye.